Updating the durations in your strips can be a really important part of scheduling, but it's sort of a drag because you have to go to each one of your strips individually and you have to set that duration manually. But ThinkCrew version 2.8's got a new feature called Duration View, which allows you to actually resize that strip to set the duration. It's really cool. I can't wait to show you. Let's get started. So the way to get to the duration view is from the view drop-down here. And we can see the three different views. We have the strip view, which we're currently in, the calendar view, and the duration view, which I'm just going to click on right here. And we're going to enter duration view. Now you'll notice this looks a little bit different than the other types of views. First of all, we're no longer going to be editing the actual strip board itself from this view, just the durations. So all of the items here on the top menu, add days, add banners, split, group, all that stuff is all turned off because this view is just about editing the durations. Also, you can see that there's a toolbar now for each individual day. So this is the toolbar for day 1. And if I scroll down here, you can see that each one of these days has their own toolbar running across the top here for each one of the days. You can also see that there's a timeline here running down the left-hand side, going from 1 to 12. And that's because we have 12 hours set as our day duration right now. If I want to change that to 13 hours, for instance, I can just hit 13, and now there's a 13-hour day, or I can set it to 14, or something smaller like 8. But let's just go ahead and set it back to 12. And you'll also notice that all these strips here are grayed out. That's because we haven't started editing yet. The way that I start editing is I hit the Start Editing button here. But before I do that, let me explain why we don't start in the editing mode. You can see running down the right-hand side here that there are currently no durations for any of these strips. They're all set to 0. And that's because I hadn't set any durations over here on the breakdown for any of these strips before we entered duration mode. As soon as I turn on Start Editing, what ThinkCrew is going to do is automatically assign durations to each one of these strips and update the breakdown accordingly. But because you may not want to edit the durations for all of your strips all at the same time, we have this set up on a per shoot day basis. Also, before I start editing, I have the ability to show banners if there are any banners in this particular day that I want to set durations for. And indeed, in this day, I do have a company move banner, which I'd like to set the duration for. So I'm going to click Show Banners. And as I did that, ThinkCrew realized it could fill in the extra time here. So it resized all those strips and it added my company move banner. So with the day duration set and having made the decision to show my banners, I'm now going to click Start Editing. And as I do that, you can see that it is assigned times to each one of these strips, basically divided up the amount of time in the day by the number of strips. And it's updated the durations for each one of these strips in the breakdown. And now we get to the fun part, which is actually editing the durations for each one of these strips. I can just drag the divider in between the strips here and resize it. You can see as I do this in real time, over there on the right-hand side, you can see the duration for each one of these strips is changing in real time. So let me just quickly go through and I'm just going to sort of randomly set some different times here for these different strips. I'm just going to sort of drag these around here. Let's say we've got a big company move there, and then I've got a big scene over here. For the time being, I'm just going to ignore these page counts here so that we can demonstrate the resizing. So with these different strips resized, I can actually double check the work here. I can see that there's 2 hours and 22 minutes here on the right-hand side, and that corresponds to the duration. I can click over here on this one, 1 hour 12, 42 minutes, and so on. As I change each one of these durations, the duration over here on the breakdown updates automatically. So now in addition to actually just dragging these strips here and affecting the strip beneath it, there are some keyboard shortcuts that we can use to actually modify these strips in a different way. You can see here the regular way as I just drag these strips here that all I'm doing is affecting the strip that's immediately after the strip that I'm dragging. But if, for instance, I already know that each one of the strips beneath this strip has an accurate duration and I don't want to mess that up, I can hold down the Command key on a Mac or the Control key on Windows, and as I drag here, instead of the strip immediately beneath being affected, now the last strip in the sequence is going to be affected, and all the other strips are going to remain the same here. See, as I'm dragging this up and down, only that last strip, scene 161 at the very bottom there, is being affected as I drag this. This can be a really useful tool to help you maintain all the durations in the middle of your day if you just want to make an adjustment somewhere in the middle of this day. So if the durations for scenes 31, 78, and 130 are correct, but I want to reduce this company move, just holding down the Command key on my keyboard, I'm going to drag this up here, and I'm maintaining the durations for 31, 78, and 130, and sending that extra time here to the last strip. Alternately, there's another keyboard shortcut you can use as you drag that will squash and stretch every strip beneath it. This is sort of the opposite of what we just did. Last time we were preserving all of the durations for most of the strips beneath where we were dragging. This time we're going to affect all of them equally. If I hit Command Shift or Control Shift on Windows and then I start dragging, this is going to squash all of these strips beneath equally as I drag this up and down. You can see the durations for each one of these strips is sort of squashing in proportion, because what I'm really doing here is focusing on the length of this company move. In this instance, I care less about the durations of the scenes that are beneath it. I just want to fit them into the day. And of course, another thing that you can do is actually drag the bottom strip here and just bring this up. Because even though I've set the day duration here to 12 hours, I might need only 11 hours and 34 minutes in this instance to complete the day. In the duration view, you can always make the day shorter just by dragging these strips up here. Let me just drag these up here, and I'm going to make this quite a bit shorter. Now I've got a day that's only 10 hours and 27 minutes, which is fine because this timeline running down the side here only shows up in the duration view. It's just for you to understand the length of the day. It doesn't actually show up in your schedule anywhere. And if you ever need a reminder of those keyboard shortcuts, you can click on the little icon right here, this little info icon. And at the bottom of these instructions here, you can see the command key makes the last strip resize, and the shift command key resizes all subsequent strips simultaneously. That way you'll never forget the keyboard commands as you start editing all the durations in your schedule. If you have any questions about this or anything else, email us at this address right here, hit us up on social media. Don't forget to click like and subscribe and turn on alerts so you don't miss any of our future videos. Thank you so much for watching. That's a wrap.